anytime I see anyone from anywhere and I'm not wearing an American flag shirt, game ender, man. Like they're like, "Where's the shirt? Who are you?"
Exactly. You're like a Simpsons character, basically.
Exactly.
You know? Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Gun Rack, SDI's podcast about everything's firearms in the firearms industry. You'll see I'm wearing my gold shirt because that's what we're talking about today. So we have some very special guests. First off, you've seen them before. We've got Owen and Talon, graduates of SDI. They actually represented us at the booth this year. And then we have the one, the only Alex Shay from GOA. How's it going, Alex?
I'm Alex Shay from GOA. How's everybody doing out there today?
Good.
We're missing the flag shirt, but
I get that more than anything else. Anytime I see anyone from anywhere and I'm not wearing an American flag shirt, game ender, man. Like they're like, "Where's the shirt? Who are you?"
Exactly. You're like a Simpsons character, basically.
Exactly.
You know? Okay. Well, for those who don't know you, Alex, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Alex Shay, GOA. I'm the West Virginia State Director. I also oversee the Caliber Club program. Caliber Club is where we're building a synergistic economy of freedom, where we want our members to support our Caliber Clubs, and we want our Caliber Clubs to support our strategic partners. And all of you who attended Goals, you got to see all of our glorious strategic partners in full display and how we come together as a community to support each other. We want to be the rising tide that raises all dinghies.
Nice. I can't help but smile when you're talking, Alex. So hopefully nobody's paying attention to me and my stupid grin as I'm listening to you talk. Well, talk us through what is Goals? Why is it important?
So Goals is extremely important. Gun Owners Advocacy and Leadership Summit. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? So there's a lot of industry shows out there, and a lot of those industry shows tend to be more sequestered to industry individuals like Sonoran Desert Institute or like FFLs, ranges, retailers, manufacturers. And we wanted to kind of close the gap. We wanted to make sure that GOA members got those experiences as well. And we're not prohibitively expensive, and we're not going to make you, compete for different levels of membership. We have 3 really easy members. We have $25 to be an annual member. It's non-reoccurring, so you get to choose to support us every single year. And that's vastly the majority of our membership. We have life members like myself. I became a life member in 2017. And I've been supporting GOA ever since and volunteering for GOA ever since. And to me, that move made sense. I wanted to put my money where my mouth is, and I wanted to be a part of the only no compromise gun lobby in DC and across the United States. And then lastly, we have our Patriot members. Patriot members are members that take it to another level. They want to support monthly, and in doing so, they get access to their Patriot membership, which has like a magazine and different kinds of things, if you're into that. But once again, we want you to be comfortable with where you're at. We want you to hold us accountable to make sure that you're funding freedom, because we want to do what is morally, ethically, and fiduciarily responsible for all of our members.
Yeah, I've always loved going to GOA events and hanging out with you guys because you guys do spread a great message and do a lot of work. Owen and Talon, I mean, what's your interaction with GOA been like and Goals?
Well, GOA, I've been a member of GOA for 2 or 3 years now, 2 or 3, 4 years, whatever. And this was my first time at GOA. I understand this is the second annual GOA that's Goals. Sorry, the second annual Goals that's coming around. So this was my first time. So I didn't get to experience last year like Owen did. I thought it was a great event. I can't imagine what it takes to go into to put on something like that. So I look forward to kind of hearing some of that of what it takes to plan and put together something this large. But it's great to have an event like some of those other big industry events he mentioned in a different location of the country where people can get to it. And I mean, Knoxville, that's pretty much right in the middle of everything. So a lot of people can drive just a few hours and get to something like this. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I went to Goals last year, and just like last year, this year, it's just, to me, it's way more personable. You get to know everybody just on a more personal level than some of these bigger shows, just because these bigger shows, they're there's just a lot of times these guys have their schedule completely maxed out. You don't get to talk to them. You don't get to talk to the owners. You don't get to talk to the directors or anything like that. And at goals, I mean, especially the on Friday, it was you could go talk to anybody and build
Yeah.
those relationships.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, you guys, for the first one last year, it's range day, media day, 2 days open to the public, which was the same this year. And I thought, man, that's, you know, a lot to chew or a lot to take charge of those 4 days of events and everything after hours and all that stuff. But it does for us and the general public give you a good time to or give you a good opportunity to really talk with actual people,
Yeah.
especially like you said on that Friday, that media day is just a perfect time to get interviews, talk to people
Yeah.
about what they do, what they're selling, what they're creating. I
Yeah.
mean,
That,
Alex,
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
The industry day is awesome. One of the things you see at SHOT Show, the whole thing is industry. And you see it like NRA, the whole thing is public. This was a nice break where you have kind of some industry time and some public time and are able to kind of do both. And I really appreciated that. I also really appreciate Alex note the late start every day, because getting to sleep in and have some breakfast is awesome compared to getting up at 6 and trying to make it to the show on time or whatever. So later start every day was really appreciated.
Especially for those who aren't responsible adults and don't know how to handle themselves at
Or that
night.
come out with being
Anyway,
Christian
Alex,
fertility.
Alex, so what were some of the missions for GOA and goals, and how did everything turn out?
Well, I want to touch on some of the things that Talon and Owen were mentioning just now, and that is, not to flout it or to toot our own horn, but there's about 50 GOA employees. That's the maximum number of us. And then when we put on this big production, we have a little bit extra production crew. Forge Media comes in; they help us a lot with the AV and the filming and getting all the right times for the right speakers and things like that. So those huge shout out to those guys, Forge Media, crushing it for us. But that being said, this is a Herculean effort. We are punching way outside of our weight class. This is our second annual goals, and we've surpassed every milestone or any kind of big, hairy, audacious goal that we had that we thought we were going to try to meet or exceed. We've always met and exceeded those goals. So I'm very, very happy for that. And that's been one of the big things that has just been so mind blowing for us here on the GOA side, is that we have incredible guys like you all that are supporting us. And to touch on what Owen was saying, is that there are 4 days. And in those 4 days, we have a range day, which is media vendor only. And we wanted that to be very accessible for media and vendors, because we've always been on the vendor side and kind of touching on the media side when it comes to like the Minuteman or Phil Rolby or any of those big names that we have, filming content for us. And we wanted to create an arena where the media actually got a little bit of say in what was happening and how it came together. So media day for the first 2 days and media vendor days for the first 2 days, having that range day and having that time on the floor. So unlike any other show that you're going to go to, you actually have time to network on the floor instead of having 10,000 people swimming over you and getting in your shot and yelling and kids crying and stun guns going off. You actually have time to talk to the Sonoran Desert Institute or talk to, XYZ, Dead Air, Glock, whoever, Wolfpack Armory. If you want to talk to those guys, you set up a time, you come, you get that great action shot at the range day shooting the firearm or the suppressor or whatever it is you want to do. And then the next day you get that beautiful bean footage. You get that B-roll, baby. You get to be at the booth and you get to talk to them and you get to engage with them, but in a controlled and much more quiet environment where you're not walking all over each other. And then the next 2 days is sell, baby, sell. That's when you get the pandemonium. That's when you get the real chaos. And that's where the fun is for me anyway, because I really, really draw most of my energy from the crowd. But that's how we choose to do it, and that has worked out great for us. And primarily, it's just from our experiences over the past 50 years of being GOA that we were like, hey, we see these holes. We see these, I don't want to say flaws, but we see these areas for improvement in other events that we've attended. And we're like, let's just do it. Let's just take everything that we thought could have been a better experience for us as vendors and make it the best possible show for our vendors and attendees.
Yeah.
Opportunities.
Yeah. And it's a full family event as well. I mean, you had your own, there's a kids area to win prizes and have fun and do crafts. And then it was just the amount of people that showed up, especially compared to last year. I mean, I feel it like doubled.
Oh, easily. We crushed. By Saturday alone, we achieved more people on that day than we did in both 2 days the year before, when it came to the general public day.
How do you think what was different between last year and this year, like marketing wise, or why do you think it doubled or more than doubled?
Well, people crave continuity. People crave a pattern. They want to be able to have consistency in their lives. And because we were the same bat time, same bat channel, they knew exactly where to go. And we had already built up a really big groundswell. So whenever you have advertising, everyone knows advertising is the hardest part of any customer acquisition, is educating the customer as to who you are, where you are, what you're doing, and what's going on. So the first year we had a lot of lifting to do. It was a really big effort to get a lot of people to know what was going on through billboards, social media, and a lot of grassroots, a lot of word of mouth. That's great. This year, the same kind of efforts went into it, but you have to understand that, the previous year we had like 7,000 or 8,000 people who had already experienced it, who'd been talking about it for a year, who were seeing it. And now, instead of just, oh, it's this ethereal alien thing, it's like, no, I know what that is. I got to go. Or they told their friend, and their friend's like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed it. So now they have a lot more urgency to go. So anytime you double tap something, just like in shooting, you get twice the effect.
Yeah. Social media was going crazy. A lot of the attendees, whether they were attendees or actually had booths. I know like people that stick out are like Fat Tack, Tracy Guns did a lot of, going to goals posts. Just people who are in my algorithm, I'll be at goals. I'm going to be at goals. And they're doing, whether it's just a carousel post that they're going to be there or actually doing little shorts and reels for it. It's awesome to see how widespread and the attention has gotten for goals over the year. So
now you mentioned
Owen?
consistency, but you guys are moving it next year, right? It's going somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. So we are gun owners of America, and America is a very large place, and we want to jump around. So we want to try to do a 2-year thing, so we can always have like this kind of consistency, but at least give those other people. So you guys out there in the West, if you're in Arizona or if you're in Las Vegas, there's a lot of great things that happen pretty consistently. Same thing with Atlanta, Georgia. There's always going to be big shows going on in Atlanta. Same thing with Texas. Always going to be big shows going on in Texas. So we wanted to give love to some of these places. That's why Knoxville was such a great place to choose initially.
Yeah.
Because you don't see a lot of those kinds of events going out of their way to be in those kinds of places. And now we've got a wonderful opportunity to be in Iowa. So Iowa is going to be in the news cycle for the next year, just Iowa, because obviously Goals is going there. And I would love to take all the credit, but the president is having the 250th anniversary of the United States. It's going to be there. And also the Iowa State Fair is one of the largest, if not the largest state fair in the United States. And because of the political significance of Iowa having the first caucus and doing those kinds of things, there's a lot of reasons why in this news cycle this year, you're going to see Iowa. And we want to be able to be there and take advantage of that buzz and show the people of Iowa that they are not forgotten, that GOA is going to be out there, and hopefully we'll bounce back and forth, east to west, north and south. And we'll be giving everybody a little bit of love over the course of the next years that we have this show. And my calculations, in the next 200 years, we'll hit all 50 states.
Hawaii.
Looking forward to Montana.
That'll be in the later parts of the 200. It'll take quite some time for us to get the Supreme Court to get Hawaii to be cool enough for GOA concealed carry conventions to be going on.
It's going to be hard to find a convention center big enough here in Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys had 200 years to build one, though, so.
We'll see what the Goals cruise is going to be like,
Yeah.
So
that's be cool.
We'll Goals cruise to Puerto Rico. That'll
right. You gotta be inclusive. So, okay. Owen and Talon, you guys represented SDI at the booth. How was that? How was that experience? How did that go?
Well, I'll say this. I was really surprised how many graduates came on Saturday. I mean, I think more graduates were there than any other show, and they were just, I mean, it was at one point I think there was 8 graduates at our booth at one time.
Yeah. How many total would you say grads over the weekend stop by?
30 to 40, somewhere in there. And
Yeah.
most of them working in some way in the industry, whether they had their own shop or they were working with one of the other vendors there, or they were in law enforcement and doing whatever. But yeah, most of them in some way were tied to the industry, which is it's always I don't know, lifts my heart up when I see other SDI grads doing things and working in the industry, especially when they've done it, and worked their way up. I can't remember the gentleman's name we met that was one of the range safety officers, but I've got his card here somewhere. But we were just saw he had a SDI patch. Turns out he graduated.
Ty Jester.
There you go. Yep, graduated in 2015. So that was cool. Just to see these SDI people influenced throughout the industry is always good for me.
Yeah, I mean, we met one graduate and he started his own gun store in Texas, and then he hired 4 graduates from SDI that work under him. So we met a lot of people that come from a lot of different backgrounds and they do a lot of different things within the industry. So it was really, really cool.
Any prospects? Anybody who was really excited to talk to SDI? Excited just to see the swag. We had some cool swag.
We did have quite a few people that filled out the information to get more information about the school and talk about it. A lot of people that had been on the fence and then came up and were like, "Oh, I've heard," yeah, it was I all around just a good event. Everybody was in a good mood. I didn't see anybody in a bad mood. I didn't see anybody, pissily walking around or whatever. It's kind of hard to be in a bad mood. And it's really hard if you're around Alex. If you're around Alex, you can't be in a bad mood. So
One of the things is like what Talon was saying, people that were on the fence, people really like to talk to people that have actually gone through the program. And they ask questions and they ask what our experiences were and they ask what we thought about it and things that we liked and things that we didn't like. And, a lot of the concerns that, not just us, but other people have when they're on the fence about enrolling. So it was cool to be able to share all that.
Well, Alex, let me ask you this. So why do you feel it's important for SDI students and grads to attend these advocacy events?
This is such a softball question. Thank you so much. So honest to God, I mean, the networking that we achieve at these kinds of events is second to none. Like if you come to goals with a resume in hand and you're ready to shake some babies and kiss some hands, you're going to be having a great time. You're going to be meeting industry leaders like those FFLs, ranges, retailers, manufacturers, and maybe even find yourself talking to GOA or other 50c3s that are looking for people of your talent and caliber that are there. But every like-minded individual and everyone who attended goals, whether you are actually organizing the show or just attending the show, every single vendor there, I mean, those are real salt of the earth, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of entrepreneurs that are clawing their way into existence. And then once again, that touches on what Caliber Club does, what Strategic Partnership does. We're building a synergistic economy of freedom, and that freedom depends on people being a part of that economy. So that's everything from the workers to spending your dollars with, blackout coffee instead of Starbucks so that you're funding freedom. But the same thing's true. We need to employ you. So we need those SDI graduates to remain incredibly based and then also work for incredibly based institutions so that we can have that incredibly based economy of freedom.
And that kind of makes me think about, and I don't know, Owen, if you care about sharing your story, but Goals was the 1-year anniversary of you kind of getting into the industry, and it was because of the first annual Goals why you're in the position you're in right now.
Yeah, so last year, like Christian said, it was my first show where I was actually going and kind of helping SDI. at the booth and things like that. I'd gone to NRA before, but I was kind of independent, just going there and helping out where I could. And I met Media Lodge there, and we built a really good relationship. And a year later, I'm working for them now full time, and it's all thanks to just the networking that we did at Goals. I mean, it's like Alex was saying, you go to the range day, and then the next day is you can just have that one-on-one. A great example is me and Talon, we went to the Bond Arms range day, like little mini booth, got to check out their lever action AR and some of their Derringers, and then the very next day we got to go to their booth and just talk about it and see what they were about and just really connect with them.
Yeah,
So it was
really good
really,
guys.
really amazing. So yeah, this goals really kicked it off for me, and so I mean, I'm excited to share that story, but also it kind of reminds me about Carlos, who's another graduate of ours. I mean, he came last year and then he came this year, and he was looking for a Spanish like speaking community and stuff. And they had Goals had this page, Christian. I'm not too sure about it, but it was like a meetup for Spanish speaking gun owners and stuff like that. And so I'm hoping he got to get some really good networking in there.
Yeah, because GOA and goals really help with that, because you guys had certain days and times for different region of GOA members to get together. Isn't that right, Alex?
That is correct. So we had all the demographics in different regions of GOA. So the Southeast, the Northeast, the Midwest, the West, and then the Southwest and the Northwest, of course. And we also had a contingency, like you had mentioned, of Hispanic GOA members. And we also had our women's empowerment group, our women's breakout lunch, and our Second Amendment defenders, as well as our GOA hunters. So these are all programs where we want to try to move the needle on these cultural things. So once again, when you're building a synergistic economy of freedom, you have to remember that politics is downstream of culture. So folks like you doing podcasts like this is infinitely more important than most things that we'll ever really achieve, because you're driving the culture forward. More people, more minds, more inspiration, more conversations about freedom, liberty, individualism, and the American way of life. That's what we really want to advance. And that's why we have our women's outreach program that teaches women about advocacy. And that's why we have a Spanish outreach program that talks to Spanish speaking Americans in Spanish, and because they need to understand that this right isn't a right that only exists for different or specific socioeconomic demographics or ethnicities. This is an American right, and all Americans enjoy this right. So we have our Second Amendment defenders, where we need to really have a conversation about like 18 to 21-year-olds. So if you go to college, right, you can be $200,000 in debt, or a felon, or drafted into the military where they'll give you a machine gun, nerve gas, nukes, a tank. But heaven forbid you defend yourself walking across a dark alley at night with the bankroll from your pizza shop. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of crazy thing that we have, but we only have it because complacency kills. And we as a society have spent far too long just resting on our laurels, hoping for the best, sticking our heads in the sand. It's time to get activated. It's time to go to those gun owners advocacy and leadership summits so that we can learn how to articulate the ideals of freedom, liberty, and individualism and the American way of life to our friends, our family, and especially to our politicians.
That
Well,
brings up
what
a good point, Alex. We were kind of stuck at our booth the whole time, but there's a lot of other classes and seminars and presentations, things that happened outside of just the main floor there. Can you talk on some of those things, that the other stuff that happened outside of
Absolutely.
just the main floor?
So absolutely. So other than the main floor, we had incredible speakers. We had John Lovell. We had Thomas Massey. We had we were supposed to have A.G. Bailey, but he got pulled, and now we know why he got pulled, because now he's the deputy director of the FBI. And so there's all kinds of really crazy things that happen in goals. Last year, we had Kash Patel speak, and then like 2 or 3 months later, he was appointed the temporary director of the ATF and now the director of the FBI. So it's we're moving and grooving. This year, Brandon Herrera launched his campaign for Congress from our stage.
Yep.
This is only our second year in existence, and congressional running candidates are announcing on our stage. So like I said, we're moving that needle far and away in a different way. We also had our advocacy dinner. Our activist dinner was incredible. John Lovell was there, hilarious, did a great job working the crowd. We had a lot of great auction items go out there. And we also had a virtual reality simulator where people could compete and see who's the best shot. And we had a Stop the Bleed class that I myself taught, being a former combat medic in the Army. Myself and Matt Patterson had a good time teaching that class. And there's just so much for everyone to learn. And of course, those breakout sessions for the regions. So you had the Northeast, the Southeast, Midwest, Northwest, Southwest, and these regional directors and state directors get together and they speak to those folks. So every single GOA attendee has a lanyard. It says whether they're a life member, patriot member, or an annual member, and it has their state. So whenever your state's region comes up there, you attend those breakout rooms and you get to actually talk to your state directors and ask them, what are they doing in your state? How are we moving the needle there? What are we doing to drive XYZ? So here in Virginia, where I'm currently at, there's a lot of, hubbubaloo going on because there's a governor's race, and we gotta start working hard to make sure that the governor's seat stays in the hands of liberty, and that we don't have tyrannical overreach like we did under some previous Virginia governors, if you guys remember those days, with 50,000 people attending a rally in Richmond, which, that's great, but if an ounce prevention is worth a pound of cure, so we want to be the cure. We want to be the prevention. We want to make sure that people are well-read, well-learned, and articulate in their ability to articulate those things. Let me ask you fine citizens a question. Talon, Owen, even Christian, how many times have you watched the news and you've seen a politician do something that you don't agree with?
Daily.
Daily, okay.
Yeah.
And how many times have you called them about it?
None.
Right. So twice. All right, good, good, good. Well, so here's the takeaway. And that was kind of a trick question because I kind of knew where I was going to go. But the point is we live in a republic that is formed by we the people. We the people are sovereign. We the people elect our legislature. We the people elect the president, and those two bodies nominate and appoint the Supreme Court justices. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to us. So the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you ain't squeaking, they ain't greasing. They're not psychic. They don't have ESPN. Okay. They only can do what you tell them to do. And if you don't tell them what to do, they're going to do what someone says. And if that someone is a lobbyist from Everytown for Gun Safety or Moms Demand Action, then you're going to get those kinds of results. Even if they don't like you, even if they philosophically don't agree with your positions on freedom, if you can make the issue stinky enough or a hot enough issue for them, they're going to drop it like a hot potato. They don't want to deal with that. They just want to get reelected. They're very simple creatures, and they just want the easiest path to victory. And if you make that path difficult for them, they're going to, at a minimum, just avoid that subject. So maybe you're not advancing it, but at least you're not losing ground. And the opposite is true too. If you can make something so gloriously beneficial for them, then they got to do it because they want the votes. So, don't ever feel like your voice is too small or too tiny. Every molecule of water in the ocean is tiny, infinitesimally tiny. But when you get a couple trillion of them together, that's a tsunami. Okay. And that's kind of what you have to think about when you're thinking about politics, is that don't ever let anyone tell you your voice is not enough. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't make a difference. You need to be the change that you want to see in the world. And the only way you can do that is by getting involved.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I appreciate about, well, one of the biggest things I appreciate about being a GOA member is that when I get the mailers, it makes everything so much easier. You've got, stuff that we can send out, just, and numbers to call. You just it's almost like set it and forget it. So if you really want to be heard and make that wheel squeak, GOA helps provide it and make it easier for those who, might feel it takes a little bit too much effort for them. And so, you're just providing them an outlet, an easy outlet for them to utilize. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We break it down Barney style. If you're a GOA member, or even if you just sign up for the free email alerts, those email alerts are catered specifically to your zip code. So you're getting the information based on your city, your county, your state, and your federal representatives. And if something wonky is going on there, we're going to break it down Barney style, send you a pre-written email. You're allowed to edit it, add or subtract, whatever you want to. We never want to put words in your mouth. We do want to make it easy for you. And if you're lazy like me, I just hit send and it goes off. And then my representative, who is legally bound, as I am their constituent, they are legally bound to understand, read, and at least a staffer has to go through and make sure all these things are there. And we do encourage everyone to add or subtract things to the emails, because the more unique they are, the less likely they are to sort of filter them out and think they're like a bots or something. So definitely get involved. Definitely utilize the resources the GOA provides to all of our members and email subscribers. So whether you want to support the fight or you just want to be in the fight, we encourage you to fight, fight, fight.
Well, for our viewers, our SDI students and graduates who are watching and listening, what should they be doing day to day, to stay on top of what's happening in the world today and 2A advocacy?
Well, 100%. Check out, if you're not following GOA on Facebook or Instagram and Twitter. Twitter is a minute by minute breakdown of exactly what's happening on state and federal issues for GOA. So that's a really good one to follow. Our Instagram is pretty awesome, pretty based, lots of great information there. And our YouTube channels with the Minuteman, Law and Ammo, One in the Chamber. Those are all shows that we have and produce. The State of the Second, they are going to give you really incredible breakdowns. But if you want to go above and beyond and you want to reach further than just those GOA channels, I highly encourage you to check out Jared Yanis, Gudge and Gadgets. He has breaking news as it happens in the Second Amendment space. Mr. Guns and Gear, incredible, has been doing incredible reviews for over a decade now. You have Mark Smith of the Four Boxes Diner, my personal favorite YouTuber. He will make you the smartest man in the room. He is a Second Amendment attorney at the Supreme Court level. He's done book signings like a champion, like for hours upon hours at the GOA booth, both goals, both times. It is a Herculean effort that he has taken upon himself as he signs books for hours. And it's incredible. And if you like reading and if you are a bigger nerd, so we're going in higher levels here, check out John Lott. John Lott is a statistician at the Crime Research Prevention Center, and he actually breaks it down numerically. So if you're trying to have big brain conversation using math, then you can definitely understand and appreciate those kinds of statistics that he's able to prove from the FBI and other databases that we have across the United States.
What about getting involved at GOA at our, like I'm out in Montana. Is there events or things we can do out where we're at in the middle of nowhere, Montana, to continue to support?
Absolutely. So number one, if you have a favorite FFL that's out there in Montana or anywhere in the United States, just get a hold of me, Alex Shay. I'm Alex Shay at gunowners.org. You can email me, let me know who they are and what they're about. I can send you a link and we can get them enrolled into Caliber Club. Caliber Club will do two things or three things for them. Number one, it'll put them on the map so GOA members can actually see where they are whenever we host events at their location. If they're large enough, we can do that. And they'll get discounts or better access to better deals from strategic partners. And we'll also, like I said, be able to host events at those locations. So that's what really drives our kinds of things. And if you want to personally volunteer, once again, just contact me, Alex Shay at gunowners.org. And just say, hey, I'm here, and I'll put you in touch with our volunteer coordinator, Ryan Liskey, and he'll get you signed up on the rosters, and you'll be a Minuteman just like me, and we'll go out there and fight tyranny together and organize things like tabling at gun shows or state fairs, or even just setting up activism training for you and your friends and anybody who wants to attend so that they can understand how to articulate those ideals of freedom to their friends, their family, their communities, and their politicians.
I know a good FFL in Montana you could do an event at.
I've got a couch you can crash out on. So,
well, as long as I can drive out there, I like live in my Jeep. So,
is there any karaoke in Montana?
There better be.
Not any
There's
good
gonna
stuff.
be.
There's gonna be. Yeah.
Yep. Once Alex gets there, he's gonna change the game. Karaoke game in Montana. Any of you guys got anything else for Alex? Any other questions?
I will say, one of the reasons I like GOA so much is that they listened to what people had to say last year and adjusting the times of the speakers so that more people could actually go and things like that. I think that was a huge boon.
Yeah.
Well,
I,
let's
I
wrap
look
this
forward to
up.
seeing the future
Oh,
of this event. I just look forward to seeing the future of this event. If this is the second year, I can't imagine what it's going to look like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, it's definitely, if it's within your power or ability, I think you should check it out.
well, next year's is the 50th anniversary. Is that
That's
correct?
right. Big 50 for GOA.
So it's going to be, I'm assuming there's going to be some big things. So
yeah.
that's what's that? The golden milestone? I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. So, all right. So taking it back to goals, let's all share one favorite moment at this year's goals. What made an impact? Talon.
Just getting to hang out with the other students, especially Carlos was great getting to hang out with him. I didn't get to know him last year, so this was my first time meeting him. Great guy. Getting to meet the other students, getting to see some of the new guns that maybe I didn't have a chance to touch at some of the other events. Just in general, just had a good time. But like I said, the other students, it's always kind of a big one for me.
Yeah, shout out Carlos. Since Talon doesn't know how days work, Carlos helped out at the booth every a little bit on Sunday since Talon left early. Owen, what do you got?
I got a couple things. One of the biggest things was just the networking piece, getting to meet so many people and that genuinely cared about not just what they had to offer, but what other people had to offer. Great example, we talked about the Bond guys, but also the digital trigger guys, super cool. Ammo Squared, the goat gun guys those guys are awesome.
Always.
Yeah. And then also the range day, 4570 Derringer, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
Bond Arms. Shout out to Bond Arms for that one.
All right, Alex, what was the, I
My
mean, there's
gosh.
probably a lot.
You
What
know,
do you got?
for me, I hate to sound so sappy, but for me, it really is like a family reunion because I go everywhere throughout the year, across the United States. I run into you guys, at least 2 or 3 times a year, but some folks I only see once a year, except for at goals. So if I can get to see them at goals, that really just warms my heart, and I get to just be a part of that and see how far they've come year to year. So like leaps and bounds over and over. Like this year, I saw so many companies that expanded their footprint, had brought more and taken more advantage of it. Because the first year, they just didn't know really what to expect. Neither did we. To be fair, we didn't know exactly what the caliber of the magnitude was going to be of the crowds or what the engagement was going to be like. But this year, everyone was on their A game, and I'm just so proud of all of our attendees and also proud of all of our GOA family for actually surviving.
Yeah, shout
I'm
out
still
those
seeing those
guys.
that event that you had, or that deal that you had that was spinning the camera around
Yeah, the
people.
360
Those are
camera.
still showing up in my thread.
Yeah.
People posting them or what? They're still popping up, and as I scroll. So
For
That's
sure.
that's one of my bigger regrets is not the 3 of us or even the 4 of us
Yeah.
4 of us.
getting
Yeah.
on there and
Yeah.
doing one. So that'll be
Next
definitely
year.
for 50 years.
Yeah, 50 years.
We're gonna
do
get
it.
a special
We'll get her
one
done.
out there. So, and that is what you brought up of people just growing. Like you see companies like Infinity Defense with their targets, and then that digital trigger that Owen was talking about. That's just crazy technology to me. But it's at SHOT Shows. Sometimes SHOT Shows just too big to
Oh,
see
yeah.
some of this stuff and see the growth of some of the companies that are out there. So yeah, that's one
Physically,
big thing.
this was the least demanding show of the year. I felt
Yes.
good when I got home from the show. I wasn't hurting. I didn't limp for a
Speak
week.
for
I
yourself,
felt good.
Talon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex
I don't wanna
has
hear that.
55 miles under his belt by the end of the night.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. Well, Alex, I appreciate you coming on here, taking time out of your day. I know how busy of a dude you are. Owen, Talon, thank you for the booth help. Thank you for coming on, recapping everything. But if you want more information about our programs here, about our certificate in firearms technology, handgun specialists, associates, all that stuff, go to sdi.edu today, hit request information, talk to admissions reps. We got some cool stuff on the website as well, too. But I've been Christian. Thanks again, guys. Everybody wave
Thanks.
bye.
Thanks.